Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into some financial wisdom that's stood the test of time? Literally, thousands of years.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is going to be a good one.
We're talking ancient Babylon.
Oh,
Unearthing the secrets from the classic, The Richest Man in Babylon. You might think it's all ancient history, but trust me,
yeah.
these principles are as relevant today as they were in, well,
Ancient Babylon.
exactly, ancient Babylon. So get ready to unlock some surprisingly simple yet powerful principles.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows, maybe you'll even double your shekels by the end of this. No promises, though.
No promises.
So first things first, what's the first nugget of Babylonian wisdom we're digging up?
Well, we're starting with a concept that honestly might sound a bit counterintuitive, but it's huge E. Really, it's a cornerstone of wealth building. Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. Okay, yeah, we hear that a lot in personal finance and stuff. But did Babylonians really do this? Like with their clay tablets and grain as currency?
And they might not have had our fancy apps and direct deposit.
Right.
But the principle, it's exactly the same. It's all about shifting your mindset. Before you do anything else, before you settle debts, buy your groceries, or I don't know, what did they do? Head to the bazaar, whatever it was, you set aside at least 10% of your earnings.
For yourself?
For your future self.
Oh, okay, so it's like an ancient self-imposed tax. But instead of going to the king, it goes towards your own financial kingdom, right?
You got it. And hey, no arguments with tax collectors needed either. Think of it as an investment in your future, really a form of self-respect, acknowledging that your future financial well-being just as important as those current expenses.
It really makes you think, though, what would a Babylonian think of our world? Where you can set up automatic savings with a
couple of clicks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They probably think we're living in some kind of magical future, right?
They probably would. But that automation piece, that's key. It removes the temptation to spend that 10%.
Yeah.
Makes building wealth a consistent thing you do, a habit, not just a, what do you call it?
A sporadic effort.
Yeah, sporadic effort, exactly.
It's much easier in our world, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're paying ourselves first. What's next on our Babylonian wealth-building journey?
Okay, so we're putting aside some of those ancient shekels for the future, right?
Yeah.
But we got to make sure the rest of our hard-earned dough isn't just disappearing like water in the desert sun.
Right. Vanishing into thin air.
Exactly. So that brings us to our next big principle, living below your means.
A timeless classic.
Mm-hmm.
But easier said than done, right? I'm guessing even in ancient Babylon, they didn't have credit card bills and online shopping tempting them 24/7.
You'd be surprised. You know, the analysis you share, it really emphasizes how the Babylonians struggled with this whole idea of needs versus wants.
Oh, I believe that.
Which, let's be real, it's a struggle for pretty much everyone, even today, right?
Oh, 100%. It's so easy to get caught up in that whole comparison game, keeping up with the Joneses, or I guess in this case, keeping up with the Nebuchadnezzars, right?
Laughs, exactly. But the Babylonians, they were onto something. They understood that real wealth, it's not about having a ton of stuff. It's about aligning your spending, what you're doing with your money, with your values, and what you really want in the long run.
So much easier said than done when you're constantly bombarded with ads for the latest and greatest everything.
Oh, tell me about it.
But okay, so how do we actually practically apply this whole living below your means thing in our modern lives? What would a Babylonian do?
The analysis you sent, it actually suggests a little thought experiment. Think of something you've really been wanting, like maybe it's the latest phone, maybe it's a weekend trip, whatever. Got it. Okay, now think. What are you willing to give up to get that thing?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
Right. Are you okay with putting off your financial goals? Or maybe going into debt?
Wow, yeah, no, it makes you think about that true cost, not just the price tag.
Exactly. It's about making choices that line up with that long-term vision, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Financial freedom, it's not about depriving yourself. It's about deciding what's important.
It's about building something that lasts.
Right. 100%.
All right, so we're setting aside that 10%, resisting those Babylonian impulse buys. What's next on our Babylonian wealth-building journey?
Oh.
All right, so we've got our savings game going strong. We're resisting those Babylonian impulse buys. But now for the fun part. What did the ancient Babylonians do to make that hard-earned money grow? I'm guessing they didn't have index funds or anything like that back then.
No index fund. But you know what? They definitely understood this idea of putting your money to work. You see, the analysis you shared, it really highlights a key principle from The Richest Man in Babylon. Making your money work for you through smart investments.
Okay, so not just burying those clay tablets of gold in the backyard then.
Yeah. Laughs. No, not quite. It's about understanding that wealth, it's not static. It's about creating this cycle where your money is out there generating more money. Just like think of a farmer planting seeds to reap a harvest later on.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But the world of investing, it can feel like this huge, complex thing. Where do you even start? Did the Babylonians have, like, the equivalent of financial advisors back then?
They definitely understood that you need to get advice if you want to be successful. In fact, the book, it actually warns against falling for those get-rich-quick
Oh, I'm
schemes.
sure those existed back then, too.
True, yeah, definitely. They were around. Instead, it emphasizes going to the people who have experience, kind of like how a young apprentice back in the day would go to a really experienced merchant to learn the ropes.
So it's like finding that perfect guide, right?
Yeah.
Someone to help you navigate the, what would it be, the marketplace of investing.
Exactly. Today, that might mean talking to a financial advisor, someone who really gets your goals and how much risk you're comfortable with. You're using their expertise to make better decisions.
Makes sense. So, okay, we've got our guide. What about the actual investments? What would be the modern equivalent of a Babylonian merchant's caravan full of goods?
The big takeaway here is diversification. Just like a really smart merchant wouldn't put all of their goods on a single ship, you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket either,
Right.
right?
Makes sense.
The analysis actually mentions a bunch of different options that fit with this idea of diversification, like index funds. Those are great because they give you this broad exposure to the market. And then there's real estate. That's always been a popular one.
Tangible asset.
Yeah, exactly. But the key thing to remember here, and this is a very Babylonian approach, is to think long term. They weren't trying to get rich quick. They were playing the long game, building that wealth over time. Patience and consistency were key. Kind of like when a caravan is traveling through the desert, they just need to weather that sandstorm to reach their destination.
It's been amazing, taking this deep dive back into ancient Babylon. It really highlights how, even though the methods of building wealth might change,
Yeah.
those basic principles, those stay the same.
100%. And you know what it tells me? It tells me that financial success, it's not about chasing every new trend that pops up. It's about understanding those timeless principles and figuring out how they apply to you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the richest man in Babylon, I want to leave you with this thought. If these principles were super relevant thousands of years ago in a world that was completely different from ours, what does that tell us about how powerful they are today? Makes you think, doesn't it? Maybe those ancient Babylonians were onto something. Maybe their wisdom, it's something that we should all be paying attention to, even in our crazy world of, digital currencies and instant gratification. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.